Good morning, world. Today we are finishing the third chapter of the illustrious and glorious and important essay, the last essay in the life of the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, who single-handedly fought against the communist government and won. Sentenced to death. He won today. There's no more communists, but here we are learning the Rebbe's Maamar. Who learns the discourses of Lenin today, huh? Who learns maybe Karl Marx in history classes? But we are learning the Maamarim of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Even though it's a lot easier, I guess, to do what Karl Marx said than to do what the Rebbe said. But what Karl Marx said did not work, and they tried to defeat the Rebbe, and it didn't work. Obviously, the creator of the world had a big part in it. One man defeated a government of 300 billion people, communists.
Million or millions?
Million, I'm sorry, million. You're right. Thank you. Okay, so what does it say? What does the Rebbe say? That it's on each one of us to change ourselves. We have to change ourselves, and every person is going to make himself into a holy temple. There are a lot of distractions and confusions and, how do you say, challenges on the road, but we can do it because we have everything it takes to do it. But what's our biggest enemy? Our biggest enemy is what's called temporary insanity. A Jew can go temporarily insane and forget who he really is, and forget where the world is coming from, to forget that the world has a purpose to it. But it's only insanity. It's not a permanent thing. It's only, if you want to call it a disease, which is curable. The only person that can cure it is you yourself. You can have all the rabbis and all the tzaddikim and all the righteous people, and they can direct you to what to do, but you can't. The only one who can really cure this disease of insanity, of selfishness, is yourself. So let's go. Let's do the summary of the third chapter. Huh? What?
He was right behind the room.
Let's go. But Kitzur. Summary. BaOmer was explained. The Ruach Shtus, that there is a spirit of insanity, which is Tokef, the power, Taiva, of desire, Nefesh Abamis, of the animal soul, B'chalal in general, Mechasim, covers, Al An Ha'emes, the truth, Ugorem, and Gormim, and they cause. What is the, and it causes. What does the spirit of insanity, of your animal soul, what is the animal soul? The animal soul is your ego. Maybe in a good general way, you ever learned Freud stuff? There's what's called an id, and an ego, and a superego. Here's this whole thing. So that's the id and the ego and the super. The id is supposed to be your animal power, your animal lusts or whatever, and the superego is how you sort of develop a way to control them by forming a conscience, by society or whatever. And the ego is what comes out. That's the result. So that's according to Freud, because Freud doesn't say that there's any sort of spiritual power or longing in a person, urge for totality or meaning. He just says the main thing of a person is to be calm. That's what people want. People want to be homeostasis, whatever it's called, just to be calm. They shouldn't have all these tensions and things inside of it. The Rebbe is exactly the opposite. The essence of a man is, of course, there has to be some sort of a calmness inside of it, that peace of mind. But the reason you have peace of mind and you have these things is in order to correct the entire world and yourself. A person has to always be in a state of moving up. They say upwardly mobile. have to be constantly seeking higher self, to live in a higher reality in this world, to make this world a better place, improving it all the time. Like everything improves all the time. Science, art. Can't person say, well, we had enough science. Right? The scientists said, I think we've just about developed everything. Just closing the universities, just everybody just learn the books that already exist. There's no such thing, right? No more, how do you say, experiments. I think we've gone as far as we can in mathematics and physics, and that's unheard of. So why can you say we've gone as far as we can in personality? Right? You can attach yourself to God. You can make God in the world. That says the Rabbi. That's what the Ruach Shtus does. The spirit of insanity covers over the feeling of God. It covers over the feeling of meaning. So I guess, according to the Rebbe, this whole thing of Freud, the ego, or the id, and the superego, all that is called the animal soul. That's all the animal soul. Then there's also a godly soul, which I'll tell you the truth, the godly soul is supposed to be only in a Jew. That's what, but I think even in a non-Jew, this thing of Freud's ideas are also totally washed out. It makes a person too small. Even a non-Jew. Non-Jews also, they want the truth. Why not? A person wants the truth. He wants to be attached to something real. He's being created by the same God that's creating us. The same God is creating also his intelligence and his emotions. So a non-Jew also must have some desire to be connected to the Creator. It's just our job as Jews to direct them. Tell them what the truth is. Take them away from their strange religions and things. Hurry, please. Okay, let's go. So we explained that this spirit of insanity covers over the truth, the Eloi and the highness, ha-mitzvahs, and the highness of the commandments.
What is heaven?
Lack.
Lack.
No.
Which one?
First word on the second line.
Yeah, we had that.
I'm sorry, I did. V'gormim, and they cause. I'm sorry, let's go back. V'gormim, last word on the first line. V'gormim, and they cause. Heder, a lack. Hergish, of feeling. Ha'elokus, of godliness. V'ilui, and the highness, a lack of a feeling of the highness. Ha-mitzvot, of the commandments. You see where we are, Gabriel? You have the place?
No, don't.
Maybe move closer, come closer. We're in the Kitzur, we're in the summary. We went back a little bit. We're over here, we're in this part.
Highness as in the loftiness?
Highness, the loftiness, the goodness, the sweetness, the upechisus, and the lowness,
And the loneliness?
and the lowness, the how to say the
Opposite of highness.
No.
right, harichuk, of being far, mayhem from them.
Far from them?
From them, right. Like a person goes into an opera or a concert, and he makes noise. Right, he goes there, he's making noise, he's talking on a cellular phone. People say, will you be quiet? Quiet? He says, what are you talking about? Why should I be quiet? I paid $60 for a chair, I can do whatever I want. I paid $60 for this chair. Who is your business? Just you can keep quiet. And everybody's going, shh, right? He said, I paid, everybody shut up. What are you bothering me for? Right? I'm going to call the police. You people are like a terrible neighbors. Right? Hello. So what if this beautiful music is being played? It's a concert by Maamar or something like that. Fantastic, listen to this harmony, listen to the, but you shut up, I'm trying to call on the phone. And he doesn't have any feeling of what's going on, of the harmony of the music. The same thing, that's in a normal world. Everybody will say, they'll call the police, take the guy out. Right? But what about Torah and mitzvahs? The Torah and mitzvahs is infinitely more harmonious and beautiful and connected to the truth, to meaning, to something infinite. Right? A symphony is very nice, but it's temporary. Torah and mitzvahs are attached to something that's infinite, that's unending. Right? The source of all harmony, the source of all truth. You should feel it. A little bit, you should feel it. When you do a mitzvah, you should feel it. Why don't you feel it? Because the Ruach Shtus, just like this guy they'll take him out when he's talking on the phone. What are you talking on the phone? You know why you paid $50, $60 for this chair? He straight up said, listen to the music. He says, not me. I played because it's a comfortable chair. I saw him. He was nicely dressed. I figured I would be in company with nice people, not these animals all screaming at me, just trying to make a phone call. Right? It was nice. They had nice, music in the background. You can hear like an elevator. Elevator. He doesn't feel anything. The same thing he does mitzvahs. He doesn't feel anything. There's no feeling. Doesn't feel why? Because of the ruach shtus, the feeling of insanity. But dalit. But this. I'm just going over a little bit because it's only. But this. Shea nefesh avam is that the animal soul. Mechaseh covers. Okay, see where we are now, Gabriel? You have it? Covers. We're dalit. The beginning of dalit. But this fact that we said that the animal soul covers over the godly soul. Nefesh elokis, so that the person doesn't feel God. He doesn't feel anything. Hainu, namely, aruach shtus, the spirit of craziness. Shemechasa, that it covers. Umalim, and hides. Al-an, or ha'emes, the light of truth. V'hagilui, and revelation. Hainu, namely, does this, thus which, Velt, the world, is Malim, hiding, Oif, over, Elokus, godliness.
What's vas again?
Huh?
Vas? Das was?
Does this,
Yeah.
thus which,
Which?
Velt, the world, is Malim, concealing, Oif, over, Elokus, godliness, who is Rak, only, Al, on, Hamidos, the emotions, the Nefesh Elokis of the godly soul. And the animal soul, your ego, your selfishness, can, yes, hide over your feeling of godliness. It can neutralize it. Right? Like you're trying to listen to a radio program, and all of a sudden there's a lot of static. You can't hear. Right? You're listening to some good song, and say, oh, I like this song. Let's turn it louder. All of a sudden there's all this static. You're trying to listen to it, right? You can't hear it. You can't hear it. Too much static. Same thing, the world makes so much static that you forget you're a Jew, you forget about Torah, you forget about mitzvahs, you forget about Hashem. We're talking about religious people who know better. The Maamar is not so much talking about people who have never been educated. But even those people that have never been educated, they're in the world is very real. The guy knows that if he watches a movie, it's going to give him a certain feeling. He knows if he rides his motorcycle, it's going to give him a certain feeling. If he drinks a beer, it's going to give him a feeling. He sits with his friends and makes a joke, it's going to make a feeling. Everybody laughs, oh, his life is worthwhile. He knows he has these feelings that he gets from the world. What type of feelings do you get from Hashem? I don't know, and I don't care. I just want to play baseball or whatever it is, watch the fights. I don't know what type of feeling you get from believing in Hashem. Nothing. It says the reason that you don't get any feeling is because your selfishness covers it over. Be a little bit calm. Think a little. Says, how can I think? How can a person think about Hashem? He's completely covered over. If he's covered over, he loses his identity. He doesn't know. He's been hypnotized to think he's a chicken. What's he going to do? There's the famous Rabbi Nachman story about the king's son who thinks he's a chicken. You ever?
No.
The king's son, once upon a time he was a king, and he had a son. The son thought he was a chicken. It was crazy. All these people tried to cure him. They gave him all sorts of different things. Nothing helped. Finally, one wise man comes, and he also gets underneath the table with the king's son. The king's son lives underneath the table. He's pecking the scraps. He's pecking on there, and he takes off his clothes. When, like the king's son takes, the chicken doesn't have any clothes. Takes off his clothes. He's also pecking. So the king's son looks over him, and he looks over. He's pecking. They're both pecking. He does this for about a couple of months. Finally, one day he puts on underpants. So the king's son looks over. He's already used to him. So he says, what, a chicken can't put on underpants? So, you also put on, but don't worry, you won't be stop being a chicken. So he puts on underpants. The next day, he's got an undershirt. He says, King's son looks at him and says, well, a chicken can't put on an undershirt. Chicken can put on an undershirt. And so he does little by little. He says, a chicken can't sit at the table, the dinner table. A chicken can't learn the Torah. A chicken can't do mitzvahs. So the son, he still thinks he's a chicken. But he does all these... since that's, I guess, the example is supposed to be the tzaddik comes down and he makes the Jewish people... Anyway, the fact of the matter is that we can think we're chickens, we can think we're human beings, but we're really Jews. That's the fact. We can think that we're normal, and we can act normal, but the real fact of the matter is that we're not. How do we know? The main thing is what you know. What difference does it make? What you really are. Who cares what you really are? The main thing is what you think. It has to go into your mind. Right? The king's son thinks he's a chicken, but it has to be somehow or other, he gets in his mind that he's really the king. Right? He's really the king's son. It has to be in his mind. What difference does it make what he really is? Right? If he acts like a chicken, he's an embarrassment to everybody. Right? A human being acting like a chicken, where is all of his potential? All of his talents? Right? He thinks all of his talents is that he can run and get the little piece of bread faster than anybody else. So he can, right? That's what he thinks his talents. Says, how can he be? Says the Rabbi, that really the fact of the matter is that yes, your identity can be covered over, but only the lower part of your identity, called the midos, the emotions of your Jewish identity. The emotions. Aval, but, lo, not. Al, see where we are, Gabriel? You have it?
Yeah.
Al, but, lo, not, al, on, atzmus, the essence, nefesh elokis, of the godly soul. What does it mean? It means that always your true identity as a Jew will always be whole. It can never be touched. Right? Like we learned the Maamar about the bottle of pure oil that was sealed with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, that it was something that the Greeks couldn't touch. No matter what they did, they could defile the whole temple, they could defile everything, but they couldn't get at this one bottle. But there's something inside of a Jew that's always going to remain being a Jew. Right? And a person can be an Orthodox Jew, and a conservative Jew, and a Reform Jew, and whether it's a Reconstructionist Jew, but he's a Jew. He knows he's a Jew. He doesn't believe in Hashem, and he doesn't believe in the Torah, he doesn't believe in mitzvahs, he doesn't believe in Jewish identity, and he doesn't believe in anything but what? He does believe that he's a Jew. It's very important to him that he's a Jew. Wow, why is it so important? Why do you care about that? You're against bigotry, you're against, what is it called? What's the word called? One race against the other, is the word? Prejudice. So why do you care if you're a Jew? Well, say you're American, say something else. No, it's got to be a Jew. What's it have to be a Jew for? Because there's something deep down inside of it that he can't deny. He can't deny. Everything else he can deny, but that one thing he can't deny. That he's a Jew. He says, what is this thing that he's a Jew? What does it mean? This is your connection to Hashem. This is your connection to God. Maybe you don't like how everybody else defines God, that God makes mitzvahs, even took us out of Egypt. You don't like that. But that there's a God he can't deny. Something down deep in the essence of his soul, right? He can't deny that the fact that he's a Jew. Can't deny it. He may be old. Kasiv, it is written, Yaakov, quote, Yaakov, that Yaakov, Chevel, is the portion, Nachalato, of his...
Chevel is
portion.
Like rope,
portion. The word Chevel also means a rope. But the simple meaning is a Chevel means a portion. Like you have, what is it, Chevel Yehuda, and Chevel this, Chevel Aza. Chevel, it's like a portion.
But you can use rope also in the temple.
We'll see. The word Chevel means rope. Right? It means rope. Nachalaso of his inheritance, if you want to say.
Is it land inheritance?
Land inheritance. A nachala is something, nachel. A nachala. The nachala is also the area that you conquer is also your domain. Nachala.
Is that what they call like a place like Nachala, Benjamin or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. Nachala. It's the portion, huh?
Domain?
A domain also is there. The word chevel, yeah. Okay, let's just use it in this sense. He's going to change the meaning anyway. The whole meaning is going to change. The simple meaning is, it's one of the sentences in Ha'azinu, right near the end of the Torah, right near the end of the Devorim, is Yaakov Chevel Nachal Asol Yimtze'eu Be'eretz Midbar. It's a pasuk, and the Yaakov is the portion of God's inheritance or God's ownership or something. Okay, the word Chevel, as well as being a land or whatever is that, all the word Chevel also means rope. The hiskashrus, haneshama, that the attachment of the soul, we're talking about Yaakov. Yaakov is the rope, as the portion of God's inheritance. Or let's say Yaakov is the rope of God's inheritance. Good, rope. The Rebbe is going to make a big play on words on this word rope. The hiskashrus, that the attachment, haneshama of the soul, the elokus to God, who is chevel. It is a rope. So the word chevel has two meanings to it. The simple meaning of the word chevel means a portion. The Jews are God's portion. But also the Jews, every Jew is like a rope. What's the rope? The rope is the soul. And the soul is like a rope, hashazur, which is wound. Mitiriag from 613. Meaning strands.
Wait, what's the first word of the piece?
Wound.
Hashur?
Wound. You know what it means to wind?
Wow.
Like to braid something, you know?
Right.
How do you spell that?
What?
W-O-U-N-D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wound or braided if you want to. Miteriad from 613, Nimim strands.
Material.
Nimim is a strand. 613 strands.
Like materia sounds.
What, like?
Materia.
Materia?
Material. Not material. Material. Matter.
Matter,
In
yes.
physics they call it materia.
I never heard of it before. Okay, good. The hachavel, that this rope, what is this rope?
The rope is full of mitzvahs. Each mitzvah makes a rope and it winds around in the soul and goes up.
Each mitzvah makes a string, a strand.
Right. Each mitzvah makes a...
Yeah, we'll see. Look, the Rabbi says the same thing. It's really amazing. The chevel, that the rope, who is haneshama, the soul, atzmo itself. The rope is the soul itself. The nishmato, that the soul, shell of Adam, a person, who is hachevel, the rope, hamakashro, that attaches him.
Word kasher and kashro is the same. Kosher is the same shorish.
One second, let me just finish this. Hamakashro, that attaches him, that ties him, ve'elokus, to God. Kosher is with a chaf. Ulazot, therefore, haneshama, the soul, atzma itself, shezura, is wound up, it's braided. Miteriad from 613, nimim strands. So it's a very interesting. The soul is created. The soul is a creation. Our soul is a creation of Hashem. People's souls are created. People's bodies are created. Hashem creates the whole world. Your soul is a creation of Hashem. But the difference between the soul and the body is that the soul is spiritual. And the soul has one of the aspects of the soul that nothing else in the world has, is the soul has choice. It can make free choice. Animals don't have free choice. Animals have nature. There's no such thing about an animal, what it should do. Animals just do what they do, right? There's not, animals never, should I go this way? Maybe they might have which way should they run? Something from, right, it's unclear to them which way to run. But animals don't make choices. Animals have nature and they follow their nature. Right? People also, the same thing. The animal soul of a person has its nature, it follows its nature. That's what an animal soul does. An animal soul is, maybe it has a higher nature, it wants this type of music, it wants this type of... it doesn't know if it should buy a red car or a green car. But essentially all those choices are within the same plane, the same, the same dimension. A human being can go out of his dimension. He can go higher than himself. He can realize a higher purpose, right? You can come along some guy and can make Stalin makes a speech, Lenin makes a speech for the sake of Russia. Everybody says, oh yes, good, forget about my individual, but now it's for the sake of Russia, right? Comes Napoleon says, no, for the sake of liberty and fraternity and equality. Yes, yes, I don't care about my little bar or whatever it is that I'm sitting and drinking, sipping tea with my friends, or beer, wine with my friends. I'm going to fight for Napoleon. So he gets all of a sudden a higher idea. Animals, you can't do anything with them. Right? Animals either they have nature, that they're herded together. You can stand and talk all you want to the animals, right? Say, cows of the world, unite, right? They'll say, no. cows don't know anything. And they said, there's a joke like that a person that they had it on television. They interviewed him. Mr. Jones, you've been working with cows for more than 75 years. Has it affected you at all? 75 years? He said, no. People get affected, their natures, so that they don't have any control of their nature, says the Rabbi, but there's a thing called the soul. And the soul, there's the natural soul, and there's what's called the godly soul. The godly soul only feels God. The natural soul only feels nature. Or we can say it another way, the natural soul feels the creation. The godly soul feels the creator. This godly soul is something unique to the Jewish people.
Right. Both of those souls have 613...
Right, and the godly soul. Both of them actually. Both of them. But the godly soul, a non-Jew, what's the difference? He feels nature. He can feel that there's a source of nature. He can feel that there must be a purpose to nature. You can feel that there must be some sort of a meaning in everything. Right? Non-Jews are intelligent. It says if you're looking for intelligence, you can find intelligence in non-Jews. But godliness, the idea of godliness, of living your life only according to godliness, not spirituality. Spiritual is part of the creation. Not to wake your soul. Your soul is part of the creation. To be attached to the Creator, this is unique to the Jewish people. True, most Jewish people don't wake it up. They don't awaken it. But every Jew has it, and this is what's the eternalness of the Jewish people. That's why the Jewish people are eternal. That's why the Jewish people exist for 2,000 years already, with no home, with no common language, with no... What keeps them together? Right? You say the Torah and mitzvahs keep them together, but we get killed because of the Torah and mitzvahs. The Torah and mitzvahs is the thing that they're going to hate us, they kill us. Right? You see, a Jew is different from them. They stood up 300 years ago, some geniuses that said, hey, let's stop doing Torah and mitzvahs, we'll be just like all the other goyim, we'll be like everybody else. Right? And then the Zionists came and said, listen, we can't really be like everybody else until we have a country of our own. Then we can really be like everybody else. Just like there's Frenchmen and there's this, then we'll really be like the goyim, and the goyim will leave us alone. Right? What happened? The goyim now hate us not only because we're Jews, but also because we're Israelis. 2 reasons to hate us. Because they know that deep inside of every Jew, right? Maybe I can understand they hate us because we're Israelis. Maybe, let's say Frenchmen don't like Englishmen. It could be. Well, why? Because we're Jews. We're the Israelis, and we're not Jews. We're just people like everybody else. Oh, we know you. You can't fool us. Maybe you fool, but I fooled myself. Why can't I fool you? This doesn't work. We know who you are. Right? You're a Jew. It doesn't make any difference what it is. We know you're a Jew. What is this thing of a Jew? A Jew is a person that feels God. Every time there's one Jew in the world, it's a testimony, a living testimony that all the other religions in the world are not right. How do you say? Incomplete. They're incomplete. They haven't got the complete picture. They've reduced man to something smaller than what he is. Right? Judaism says that every man is beloved by Hashem. Hashem is creating every single person. Forget about your religions, forget about your this. Every person is beloved by Hashem. Hashem is creating it. Every person. You don't have to believe in Yashkel, Pashkel, this guy, in order to go to heaven. Right? Just believe in the Creator. He's creating you. Be a good person. What does it mean to be a good person? Don't kill, don't steal. There's laws, 7 laws of Noah. But nevertheless, the Jewish people are here to tell everybody, every Jew is a testimony, a holy temple. Whether the holy temple is closed for the holidays or it's not closed for the holidays, right? It's a holy temple.
Yes. Question. Which one of the souls does the mitzvahs has the choice of 613 mitzvahs? Is both of them have 613?
Really, it's the animal soul.
It's
The
the
animal
so what's
soul.
the purpose of the godly soul to have 613?
What do you say? To broadcast.
So it's like intermediate between.
The godly soul feels the truth. The animal soul is the reason for that man was created. Man was
That
created.
what is done by animals.
The animal soul is you. That's what Hashem wants. Is you in this world.
Is the clothing of the soul 613 mitzvahs considered to be?
It's made up. He says it's made up from 613.
So it's its essence.
That's the essence. Right. Okay, the Isa, like it says in Sefer Shel Benoni, it says in the Tanya.
Rabbi, isn't it that like half of the mitzvahs we can't even do nowadays?
Those mitzvahs that you can't do, they've already been, so to speak, fixed up in the past. So we don't have to do them. Right? So those aren't essential now to the godly soul. Right? The connection has already been made, it's already been fixed up. But it still is there. Well, let's say what's an example. Let's say everybody has a brain, but not everybody, and everybody has somewhere in their brain the ability to nuclear physics, right? The principles of Newton's principles, or afterwards the principles of quantum mechanics, that explains something about the world. Not everybody understands it, but because one person did got it, so that benefits everyone. So the same thing is, just making this up, but the same thing is with Torah, the mitzvahs that we did in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, that already exempts us now from doing those commandments. Those commandments have already been fixed up, so to speak. We're waiting for the third temple to come. The third temple will show us the purity, it will show us what was done back then. We'll see all the results of all the sacrifices and things that were done in the first and the second temple. But nowadays we don't have to do it anymore. We don't have to do it. That's one explanation. Another explanation is that really we should have to do it. So what do we have to do? We do have to do those commandments we can't do. So what do we do? Now it says prayer is in the place of the sacrifices. Right? We have to do things as though. Right? We have to fix ourselves up. In other words, we have to do whatever we can in order to do, like they have people with no legs. So they're in the special Olympics. There's people that they can't hear, so their eyes become very, right? They can see people's movement of their lips, so they can read lips very clearly. There's people that can't see, so they can hear.
The intention.
Right? What's his name? It used to be Ray Charles, very famous. He was blind, and he didn't walk with a cane, but he had shoes that they made noise, and he could hear from his shoes how far away he was from things. Amazing.
Wow, great.
He could hear from he could walk regularly. He could hear from his shoes how far away he was from.
Yeah, you can do what you call it, like the fish.
How he did it, I don't know, but he did.
I've
Tremendous
seen it, like they can
sense.
pick up the.
You got those car things.
He was born and he could see. He could see when he was born. He became blind like when he was 10 or something like that. 10. So he had an idea what the world was about, but he didn't walk with a cane.
You could even have those the cars that when you back up it makes a noise, a beeping noise.
Yeah.
You could get them made for your shoes. And for blind people.
But he didn't. Okay, you could, but I'm saying that he had developed a certain sense, right? He developed a certain sense of you. Okay, the Isa, like it says in Sefer Shel Benoni Perek Nun Aleph. Yes, the neshama of the soul, kalula, is included, is made up, material from 613 kokos powers. The tam davar, and the reason for the thing, who is first word in the line.
Says I'm at Zora.
Right below
Shaya, Nimi.
Yeah, below that.
But that was the reason, right?
So what happened with the rest?
I'll do it again. Please, pay attention, please.
Yeah.
Okay, the Isa, like it's brought. Besefer Shel Benoni in the Tanya. Perek Nun Aleph. The Haneshama, the soul. Kalula is included. Material from 613. Kochot, powers. The Tam Adavar, the reason for the thing, who is the Omer, is all that the rabbis say in Sanhedrin. Why does the soul have to be made of 613 powers? Why say the soul? Make it one thing, one beam of light. Why 613? The reason is, it says in the Gemara, it says in the Mishnah, in Perek Daled Mishnah Hey, in Sanhedrin, Chayav, obligated. Adam, a person. A person is obligated.
Quotes.
Huh?
In quotes.
This is a quote. Chayav, obligated. Adam, a person. BaOmer, to say, Bishvili, for my sake, Nivra is created, for me is created all on the world. The olam, the world, we had this before. The olam, that world, the word quote. Put the word quote, put quote around olam.
This word.
Did that olam, world, who is milashon, from the, how do you say, from the word, from the expression, is an expression of helem, concealment, hiding. That olam means hiding. This world and the world to come, heaven, all the worlds just hide. That's what it means for me, the world was created. The world was created for me. It doesn't mean the world was created for me that I should get as much pleasure as I can from it. That's not the meaning. The Mishnah doesn't tell me to tell us that. You don't need a Mishnah to tell you that. Everybody thinks that. The world is here for me.
Have fun.
To have fun, to not have pain. The Mishnah, huh?
I thought Hashem said that the world was created for me. No.
No.
Oh,
Each person, the Mishnah over there says that man was created alone. It's talking about murder. It says if you murder somebody, that you murder, when the first person to murder somebody was Cain, he killed Hevel. It says that when he murdered him, he murdered all of his generations that came after him. All the children, his grandchildren, who knows, thousands of millions of people that could have come out of him. He killed all these people. He said that's why man was created alone. Why God created man alone. All the other animals God created in their hosts, it says. But man God created alone. Why did he create him alone? To let you know that each and every man, it brings several reasons in the Mishnah. That every single man is a whole world. Is a whole world. And also you should know, every person should say to himself that for my sake the world was created. Just like Adam came into a world, right? Why did God put Adam into the world? That's the whole story of the Bible. Why did God create Adam? Why? Just because he was bored. He wanted to see, rats running around in a maze, see if they got out, right? Now, a lot of people think that's the reason why. All the religions are based on the idea that man is in the world is a terrible place. You want to get out, believe in God. Right? You believe in God, you get out of the world. Judaism says no, it's actually the opposite. God put us into the world in order to fix the world. He wants us to be here. He doesn't want us to get out of the world. He wants the world to stop being world. He wants the world to stop hiding over God. That's what it means, Bishvili, Nivra Olam. The whole world I was put into this world, the whole world was made for me. Right? It's like if you have a business, you have a doctor. A doctor wants patience. He's no patience, he's the doctor. Right? On one hand, he doesn't want people to be sick, he wants people to be healthy. But the reason he's a doctor, he learned so much, was that he should have business. If there's a sick person, they should come to him, he should help people. Right? A garage mechanic. He wants to get his hands dirty. He wants us more cars. God put man into the world to fix the world. We're supposed to fix the world. Bishvili, for my sake, Nivra Olam. The world was created for me to fix up. That's what the Rabbi says. The world, the word world is the same word as concealment. To call echad be'echad, that each and every one, chayav is obligated. BaOmer, to say the hell and the concealment. For tzimtzum harishon, and the first concealment, tzimtzum means contraction. The first contraction, and I'll explain this what this is. Nivra was created bishvili, for my sake.
What was Gidi? Things? What? Did you jump on?
there's no deed.
The pronunciation was shown. And then what is the word?
Nivro.
Nivra.
Did you? Never mind.
Nivra is created, that's a good way to stop the class.
Yeah. It's all planned.
Nivra is created bishvili, for me.
I didn't catch that. Very good.
What?
I didn't catch.
He said, what does Gidim mean? What does Gidim mean?
I've used that before as a good tactic.
Technically, Nivra Bishvili was created for me. Okay, you just want to steal the movie.
Tzimtzum Rishon.
Steal the show.
He's walking around in the back all the time.
This class was created for him.
Rushing off the t-shirt. Nivra Bishvili was created Bishvili. The world was created for me. What do you mean the world was created for me? That's a pretty selfish thing, isn't it? He says, yes, you're right. It is selfish. You were put into this world and you're very important. You were put into the world bichdei in order leboro to purify it, ulezachacho, and to refine it. To purify and refine the world.
So you're going to explain Tzimtzum Rishon.
So then we
What is Tzimtzum Rishon? What did Hashem do? What's a Tzimtzum Rishon? What we're talking about Hashem is reality. God's name is Yud, and then Hey Vav Hey. What's Hey Vav Hey? Hey Vav Hey means Hovet, to be. Hovet. Yud means constant. God is constantly making being. All being that exists, anything that exists, is being created constantly by Hashem.
The word Yud means constant.
Yud means constant.
That is
What?
That is
No. 1 second. It's him again.
Yeah.
It's not. Yud means constant. What does the Simpson mean? We think this is existence. What do you mean existence? This is it. What do you mean? Here we are. This is reality. Right? There's all the physics. One time physics was like the ultimate science. It explained what is existence. What's real. All of a sudden there came another type of science called psychology. Psychology. That was the famous thing with Kant. Kant came and he said, well, instead of figuring out what physics is, what the world is, we'll put man in the center. It was called the big right. Man is going to be in the center. It was that. They put man in the center. Now let's see, how does man understand things? Epistemology as well. How do we understand things? What do you think? All of a sudden became a thing that maybe man can leap in understanding. Maybe man can get a higher understanding of what is reality. And of what reality is. Maybe you can be enlightened. Get a higher idea of what reality is. A different idea of reality. It says no matter how high you're going to get the reality, it's always going to be centered around you. Ego. Right? Ego. Says the Rabbi says there's a thing called the soul. And the neshama. And the neshama connects you to the creator, to Hashem. Hashem is real reality. Right? You know what real reality is? Absolutely an idea. When there was Matan Torah, God gave the Torah. It says God revealed Himself, everybody died. It says that all their souls jumped out of their bodies. It was too much. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, he would go into the Holy of Holies, and he could only go one time a year, on Yom Kippur. He could only go exactly when he was doing this one commandment. He would go in, he had to bring incense into the Holy of Holies. That was a commandment he had to do. If he did one wrong thought, when he went in, he was the holiest person in Israel, holiest person, thinking about God all the time. If he had one wrong thought, and when he went into the temple, he would die. Immediately, why would he die? That's a terrible punishment for having one wrong thought. He says, no, the revelation was so intense that anything that strayed from that revelation, it was gone. It was finished. Right? It's like you're flying in a jet plane, sticking your hand out the window. That's it. Right? You don't realize how fast you're going because everything is all pressure. Right? You stick your hand, that's it. It's going Mach 10 or something like that. It's going to 10 times the speed. You can't. The pressure is so great. It's so intense that you can't take it. It's like these people they're going under the sea, right? In the submarine or something like that. The pressure is so great that they have to have something false to keep the pressure. Or they have what's it called? The electricity. Electricity from the main powerhouse. The electricity is so tremendously powerful that it would blow out all the. You have to have ways to bring it down. The electricity. Okay, a proper example of what this is very difficult because we're living in a very small world. We're living in a very small reality. But the Rebbe once gave an example, and he gave an example like this. He said, "You people, you ever learn geometry? You know what geometry is? Geometry is the forms. Forms. So there's a point and there's a line. I told you this before, didn't I? A point and a line and a plane and a cube. Right? A point, according to geometric definition, a point doesn't have any dimensions. It has no dimensions whatsoever. A point is just where two lines intersect. But it itself is nothing. What is a line? A line is length. 2 points. The distance between 2 points, but there's no height. Right. How many points can you put in a line? Infinite, because a point has no length to it. So you can put an infinite number of points into a line. Right? Or let's say in simple mathematical terms, how many times can you divide the number 1? You can divide it infinitely. Right? A line has a length to it. A point has no length. Therefore, an infinite number of points in a line. A plane has height to it. Right? A line has no plane. How many lines can you make on a plane? Here you have a plane. Let's say like this is a plane. How many lines can you make? You start pointing here, point to this line. Infinite. Because a line has no height to it. Right? Very good. How many lines can you put on a plane? Infinite. A cube has depth to it. Depth. Right? How many planes can you put inside of a cube? Infinite. Because a plane has no depth to it, and a cube has depth. So you can put it infinite, right? You can slice it infinitely. How many points can you put in a cube? Well, an infinite times 4. That makes any sense?
Yeah.
Right? Because you put an infinite number of points in a line, and an infinite number of lines in a plane, and an infinite number of planes in a cube. So how many points can you put in a cube? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. You understand? That is all, we live in a world like a point line. The world of Yetzirah is like a line. This is only examples. Right? We can't conceive of what it is. Right? The world of Yetzirah is infinitely smaller than the world of Bria. Bria is like a plane. And the world of Atzilus is like a cube. Let's just say for our purposes, right? So we're living at a point, we can't conceive of what Yetzirah is. We can't conceive of what, obviously we can't conceive of what Bria is, and we can't conceive of what Atzilus is. These are the 4 worlds. You never learned about these 4 worlds.
Yeah, the 4 worlds.
Yeah,
Yesterday.
we did? What you told me? Okay. All these 4 worlds, that's what we learned in the first paragraph. All these 4 worlds, Asiya, Yetzirah, Bria, Atzilus, all these 4 worlds, that's only creation. All this
creation.
That's only creation. That's only a part of the creation. That's all those are worlds. Right? Hashem is infinitely greater than all of them. It's like saying, how many cubes can you put into mathematics? Or how many cubes can you put into awareness? Doesn't make any sense. Right? Hashem is the infinite. You can't say Hashem is reality. Hashem creates reality. Hashem is not the infinite being. He creates being. Right? Hashem is not limited. It doesn't make any sense to say Hashem is limited or not limited. Because in our world, we think about them. How can we get from this infinite reality? This is what was revealed at Mount Sinai. Hashem himself, not Atzilus. Hashem himself was revealed at Mount Sinai. He was revealed in the Holy of Holies. How can it possibly be that from Hashem, who's infinitely infinite, right? And it's like, the electricity, 20 trillion volts, right? How can it possibly come into a light bulb? How can Hashem create this little world with this little people? How can it possibly be? So it says, in order for Hashem to do this, he had to do this amazing thing. This is explained by the Arizal, the Kabbalists. Explain this. A thing called tzimtzum. What's it? There were 2 tzimtzums. First tzimtzum was that Hashem totally removed his infiniteness. Actually, he didn't remove it. He hid it. Hashem hid over his infiniteness. What does this mean? Who knows what it means? But that's what he did. Hashem hid over his infiniteness. Hashem did not change himself, and he did not change his light, and he did not change his infiniteness, but he found a way to hide over it. Totally.
It's from our perspective, but from his.
Hashem made a tzimtzum. Hashem made a tzimtzum. He did a thing. He created it. Hashem spoke to Moshe. From Hashem's point of view, he spoke to Moshe. Hashem spoke to Moshe. It wasn't Moshe just heard voices. Right? Hashem was speaking. From Hashem's point of view, Hashem created the world. Right? How it is, what it is, we're making Hashem into a human being. We're making Hashem into a person. But that's what Hashem did. Hashem made a world, and he made a world in such a way that the natural tendency of a human being is to say that God is a big angel, a spirit, a something. Something. He's got to be a something. Right? Something. But the fact is, it's not so. God is totally above anything we can possibly, and that same Hashem cares about what we do, and He's affected by what we do. It makes no sense. But that's what Judaism is. That's what the world is. That's what ultimate reality is. What did Hashem do in order to create the world? He did a thing called the first tzimtzum, the first contraction. Hashem totally hid over His reality. And from this total concealment that Hashem made, as He started to speak, that's how the Bible starts, God spoke. God shot a beam of new reality down. It's called the Kav. And this new reality, from this new reality, which is called the beam of creation, God created Atzilus, and Bria, Yetzirah. That's what in the first chapter we learned.
Big Bang Theory.
Huh? I don't think so. See, this is like the opposite of the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory says that first there was nothing, and there was a little tiny something. And this little tiny something exploded. And it was just too concentrated.
But didn't Yud...
And it couldn't stand being nothing.
Didn't they say that Yud is a dot and it's like a little dot and then it started like expanding itself?
I don't know. This is the opposite of the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory says at the beginning there was nothing, and then there was a little something somehow or other that got there. I don't know how it got there, but it got there, and it blew up. It expanded, and that's what made the whole world. That's what made us and made our family. It came down that here's Tuvia Bolton. There he is.
They don't explain
This, what the Rabbi is saying, is exactly the opposite. In the beginning, all there was pure being. And Hashem contracted it. Hashem took away the pure being. He didn't take away anything, but He concealed over this pure being. And this concealment, that's what made the world, not that everything expanded.
So the world was before concealment?
I mean, the whole thing, I can't understand this Big Bang thing, because what did it explode into? I don't get it. What did it explode? It exploded into something.
Created before.
The neighbors didn't complain. It's Big Bang. Stop banging all the time. What are you banging? I'm sitting here in nothingness and I'm enjoying it. You're banging with this big bangs all the time. They make a little bang, a big bang. You have to bang.
The big neighbor.
The worlds were created
I don't get it. Huh?
The worlds were created before Simpson?
No.
No.
The tzimtzum was what made it possible to be concealment. The world, Helen, is world.
Concealment. Right?
World concealment. So the whole idea of world depends on the tzimtzum, the concealment.
But then that's after that's all done. That's the socialist.
Then comes the Rishtalshlus. Then comes the whole order of all the Kabbalistic books talk about what's going to be, what was afterwards. And that's what is now. We're talking, all this stuff is above time. It's not a thing that happened thousands of years ago. Right? Time is just a creation by Hashem. Time is like a little unit by Hashem. And the whole world is like that. If you think about it, it's just totally mind-boggling. But that's, right, we can't really understand the infinite because we're creations of the infinite. Our minds are just creations. It just reflects a little bit, something we can learn. But here the Rabbi is saying that when you do a commandment, or when you control yourself, or force yourself to do good or not to do bad, in a way that's a thing that God can't do. Because God can't force Himself to do bad or control it. Right? It's sort of like the Tzimtzum Orishon. It's like the first contraction. When you do that, you get above the first contraction. Because the whole reason that God did the whole business, why did He do all these contractions and everything? He did it so that there should be us sitting here. Right? He did it for me and you. And we should be sitting here and we should change the world. Right? That's the whole thing. So when we actually do it, it gives a justification, it gives a pleasure to the Creator, above all the contractions and all that. That's what the Rebbe wants to do. That's Mashiach. That's Mashiach. Mashiach is going to be a person who's going to tell everybody who they really are. How much God really loves them, as we're talk about God going tomorrow.